of many as to why they really try to bury this. Because let's say that a UFO can get through, right? Then people will start flying drones over,
Mm,
which it's an extreme, but that could be their mentality that it really is a national security issue.
right.
And not everyone enjoys hearing that when it comes to UFOs, but when we apply that phrase to nuclear facilities, it should make sense to a lot of people.
Yeah. I listen, I would love for every country to throw away their nuclear missiles, right? But that it's just simply not going to happen. So, unfortunately, I don't like to really get into the politics of it, but it's just such a destructive thing, and I hate it all. But I want to switch gears to one of the final things, and that's abductions. Um, because if a disclosure event happens, I think, like, say the president, right, were to come out and say, yeah, my fellow Americans, people of the world, we are not alone. One of the first three questions would be abductions.
Right.
In your research, what are the commonalities that you find with abduction cases, and um, what is your what is a case that really stands out for you in the abduction realm that could give credibility to it?
Looking at commonalities, it's one of them is obviously missing time, as you had mentioned earlier, being in a different
Mm,
location that you originally were, and you're thinking, how did I get here? Also, what's interesting with a lot of these abductions is that you don't receive memories. You might just receive a few little bursts, which can be very scary when people just don't remember what happened. There's also like scars near the navel area, probes that are protruding out of skin, but there is no scar to accommodate it as well. And then those that have gone through regression hypnosis, when they do feel something off with themselves, they do see entities, a lot of the times grays, the gray aliens that are either helping other entities or doing the
grunt work.
invasive procedures themselves. A lot of the times when these memories do arise, they're usually naked on a table and scared. And a lot of the times, either have it be grays or other different entities that have different facial features will say, keep calm, don't worry, we're not here to hurt you, which is right. That's something that I think is just very important to mention. And then their memories are wiped right after, which makes me ask the question of, is it to save them sanity? Is it to hide their work? To so that they don't pull out the probe, right, to track them, or
Mhm.
something else that we just cannot fathom
Not
because it's not a human mind.
right, or a
So
combination of all.
right, why not? And more. So those are some patterns, but looking at some significant cases that isn't Betty and Barney Hill or that isn't Travis
Thank
Walton,
you.
which his is amazing. And I just want to emphasize this on Travis Walton is that later on, he just thought that he was at the wrong place at the wrong time,
And
which
that
is
they
really
saved them.
right,
Right.
which is not a common pattern. But looking at some other cases, I think the Cash Landrum incident is
Mm,
significant. Yes, because we're dealing with severe radiation poisoning, missing time, different locations, seeing almost a teardrop triangular shaped craft as well, and no one was willing to help them.
yeah,
Even with all of the health issues that they were exposed to. That one's significant. Now there is another one that took place in Russia back in the 1980s. I want to say it's 1988, I believe, and it was published by the Russian newspaper, which is remarkable. And I don't know if it's a full blown abduction. However, there were these two pilots that were chasing a UFO. This beam of light beamed on them through the window. They did end up losing a little bit of time. And about a month later, one of the pilots died due to radiation, while the other one was discharged from his job because he kept losing consciousness. Yeah. That one really
As a
blew my mind.
pilot, you cannot imagine saying to someone, I'm a pilot. While I was flying, I had missing time.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
That is a scary thought. And
It is.
it does lead me to something else, that there is a growing number of pilots that are concerned, very concerned about this topic. And Ryan Graves obviously is leading the side from kind of like a military standpoint, but I mean, commercial pilots are also seeing these things, and often we see some videos come from them. But with the videos, it's hard these days because you don't know what's a hoax, you don't know what's real, or
Right.
but it is it's a little alarming, because I've spoken to pilots privately who are worried about something happening, a collision, some sort of accident that then gets covered up, or that is the catalyst for some sort of disclosure, is some sort, and then they use it as some sort of false flag attack on, because that's, you don't get a military budget with flower and daisies, is what I was told. Peace and love. Military budgets don't increase that way. So what is the ultimate enemy? And that would be non-human intelligence. So
I was going to say fear, but yes, that too.
but
NHI.
fear, but implementing that fear on NHI, right? Is I know Dr. Greer peddles this one, but the Werner Braun, oh my God, as if I can't speak. Werner von Braun,
Yes.
his assistant, who spoke about how on his deathbed that the last card that they would play would be the extraterrestrial card, the
Right,
ultimate
Project
threat.
Bluebeam.
Right. What are your thoughts on something like that? We see it in the Gulf of Tonkin that it can happen.
A lot of people are talking about Project Bluebeam, and it could be one of two sides. Either, yes, it could be a real thing, or it's created by design so that when something legitimate does happen, people will just immediately assume, it's Project Bluebeam, it's all fake, right? And so having all of this information swirling mixed with misinformation or disinformation, it convolutes the entire topic. It takes away a lot of the legitimacy that people have been pushing for. But is Project Bluebeam a possibility? Yes, it is. Can it be used towards someone's advantage? Yes, it can. But it can also cover up something legitimate that would happen.
Right. Now, think about this.
Did I say Project Blue Book? I'm going to say Project Blue Beam. It hit me. I wanted to
Yeah, no, you said Bluebeam.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, you said Bluebeam. But something that interests, we look at it right now, we're seeing it. This, I'm sure you've heard of him. You see the Jason Sands guy?
Can I have some more context, please?
Really? Oh.
Names are not my strong suit.
Okay,
so just give me some more info.
Okay. So he's the the whistleblower that came out on, this sounds ridiculous, he came out on the only reason I know this is because it's a date. He came out on 420 on a Spaces on Twitter. He came out and said that he is a whistleblower, one of the 40 that, Marco Rubio talks about. And he's also, there was a picture leaked of James Fox, who I'm currently talking to about, he's going to be on the show this in the next couple months, but he's busy finishing the program. But apparently Sands is involved in that movie as well. So, but so do you know who that is?
I believe we're on the same page. I think I know who we're talking about.
So
he's an older gentleman, right?
Older, a little bit older, not like old, but like maybe Elizondo age.
Okay.
But claims to be a part of the 20 and back program. Now, obviously, that throws up a major red flag. We go back to Corey Goode.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Goode, the whole deposition thing about, that was his intellectual property. Many people think that he was put into the community to muddy the water on that subject, right? So almost sent as a disinformation agent, paid to muddy the waters. And could this be a scenario that now, Jason Sands comes out and says, I was involved in something that is similar to what you guys know as the 20 and back program, but it's not that. It is that, but it's not that. So it seems like it's the same, struggle that Project Bluebeam. It's capable, but it's someone's labeled it as that, so they throw the baby out with the bathwater.
It's the same thing as saying.
Do you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Do you see? I'm trying to make the comparison, but maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
No, I totally get what you're saying. And to end it with this, it's that have it be anyone can be labeled as a plan. Anything can be labeled as disinformation, even when it's true. And it just depends on who believes it and who doesn't. That's the difficult part. But are there legitimate plants here now in this community that are attempting to muddy the water? I don't see why not. And the same thing goes for Project Bluebeam. Look this way, don't look over here.
Sleight of hand.
Exactly. And so yes. That's has to be one of the most trickiest things about this topic is who do you believe, what do you believe, and when should you believe it?
You know what I think? I believe what my eyes see and what my, because for anyone, you talked about your mother having experience. CRISTINA, have you had your own experience?
I have, but I still haven't fully understood it yet. So I don't really know how to put it into words too much.
All right. Is there one of the experiences that you could talk about?
Not with the time that we have. They're kind of long.
Okay. Maybe next time.
Next time. Yes.
Okay. All right. I understand that. But so you've had your own, I'll break it down. You've had your own experience. No one can tell you that you haven't. Right?
That's right.
So could there be an initiative where they're now showing the individual, right? Rather than going to the government or maybe it is a part of this slow drip disclosure. But I mean, why haven't we seen another mass sighting? What happens when the next mass sighting happens?
Well, to provide an example, a quick example before I have to go is that with Roswell in 1947, it was covered up until the 80s. People didn't know about it for a long period of time, several decades. With the
Well,
Phoenix Lights in 1997, they tried to brush that off so quickly, and it wasn't talked about for a short period